A Canadian driver outside of Barrie, Ontario, hits a patch of black ice at 90 kilometers per hour on a Wednesday morning in February on tires she bought brand new 14 months earlier from a national chain that advertised them as all-season rated and winter capable. And the car does not stop. It does not slow. It simply continues in the direction it was already going until it does not. The tires did not fail because of bad luck. They failed because every single person in the supply chain, from the factory in Southeast Asia to the teenager who torqued them onto her rims, knew exactly what those tires were rated to do in minus 15 degrees Celsius, and nobody told her. Hi, my name is Alexander, and this is Broken Canada. The golden era, what tires used to be. To understand what went wrong, you have to understand what right looked like. In the 1970s, a tire was a serious engineering commitment. Bias ply construction, rubber-coated fabric plies stacked at alternating angles, was heavy, stiff, and honest. It did not pretend to be something it was not. Then came the radial tire, pioneered by Michelin and widely adopted through the late 1970s and into the 1980s. Steel-belted radial construction delivered better fuel economy, better handling, and longer tread life. The tire got smarter. For a while, the industry rewarded that investment. Michelin, Bridgestone, Goodyear, Pirelli, these were engineering organizations with serious research programs and serious reputations. A bad tire was a liability, not just legally, but commercially. Your brand was your performance record, and the market punished failure. Then two things happened simultaneously, and they ruined everything. Manufacturing moved. By the late 1990s and accelerating through the 2000s, tire production migrated to China, Southeast Asia, and Eastern Europe. The machinery was the same. The documentation was the same. What changed was the oversight, the compound quality control, and the incentive structure on the factory floor. Then the brand architecture collapsed. The same four global parent companies quietly bought every regional brand they could find. Goodyear owns Dunlop in North America. Michelin owns BF Goodrich and Uni Royal. Bridgestone owns Firestone and Fusion. The competition you think you are choosing between is often a product family built at the same headquarters. The premium name gets the good rubber. The budget shelf gets what is left. Same factory, different formula, different label, different stopping distance at minus 15. The compound rot. What is actually inside a modern budget tire? Let me tell you what a tire is actually made of, because the industry is counting on you never asking. A modern tire compound is natural rubber, synthetic rubber, carbon black, silica, oils, and chemical additives. That ratio of ingredients is everything. It determines grip, wear, temperature behavior, and whether your car stops or does not when the thermometer drops below 0 degrees Celsius. Silica is the ingredient nobody mentions at the counter. High silica compounds keep rubber pliable in cold weather instead of hardening into something closer to a hockey puck. Premium winter tires use high silica formulas specifically engineered for below zero performance. They cost more to produce. They perform measurably better when it matters. Budget tires use lower silica ratios. The compound is stiffer, cheaper, and adequate at moderate temperatures. In a Canadian February, adequate becomes a guardrail. Now, here is the tread depth conversation your tire shop is not having with you. Transport Canada does not regulate the tread depth at which a new tire can be sold. A brand new tire can legally ship with 6 millimeters of tread. Premium tires ship with 9 to 10 millimeters. 6 millimeters is the monitoring threshold, the point at which Transport Canada says start watching it. You can legally buy a new tire that begins its life already one hard winter away from replacement. Nobody puts that on the flyer. Then there is the DOT date code stamped on every sidewall, 4 digits telling you the week and year of manufacture. Rubber oxidizes in storage. A tire more than 6 years old is compromised regardless of tread depth. Dealers have sold tires with 3-year-old production dates as new inventory. technically legal. Practically, you are buying rubber that spent 3 years degrading in a warehouse before you drove a single kilometer on it. Check the code every single time. The Canadian climate betrayal. The tire industry treats this as a footnote. It should be a headline. Canada has one of the most punishing tire climates on Earth. A driver in Winnipeg experiences minus 35 degrees Celsius in January and plus 35 degrees Celsius in July, a 70 degrees Celsius temperature swing on the same tires on the same roads. That thermal cycling alone is an engineering challenge that most compounds sold in this country were never designed to handle, and nobody at the tire shop mentions it once while they are sliding your credit card. But the real killer is what happens to rubber below minus 10 degrees Celsius. Rubber is a polymer. At moderate temperatures, the polymer chains move freely, allowing the tire to deform slightly against the road surface. That deformation is grip. That grip is what stops you, what keeps you in your lane, what keeps your family in the car. Below minus 10 degrees Celsius, those chains slow down. The rubber stiffens. The tire stops conforming to the microtexture of the road and starts riding over it like a stone skipping across water. On dry pavement at low speed, you barely notice. On black ice at highway speed, that difference is the length of a football field between you and whatever is in front of you. Black ice is transparent. It looks like wet pavement. It offers no warning and no second chances. By the time you register the slide, you are already sliding. Your reaction time is irrelevant. Your ABS is doing its best with what you gave it. The only variable that actually matters at that point is whether the compound wrapped around your wheels is still flexible enough to generate any friction at all against a surface that wants to give you none. A proper winter tire reduces stopping distance by 20 to 30% compared to a hardened all-season compound. At 90 kilometers per hour, that is a highway off-ramp. That is the distance between a near miss and a fatality. The industry sold Canada a summer tire in a winter wrapper and called it a solution. The brand selling you death. Let me name some names. Before anyone in the comments tells me I am being dramatic, I am not. I am being accurate. We will talk about what dramatic looks like when your stopping distance doubles on the 401, starting with the budget tier that fills big box store flyers every October. Westlake, Ironman, and Century. These three brands, and several others operating under similar private label arrangements, are manufactured primarily in Chinese facilities with cost structures that make quality compound formulations economically impossible at the price point they are sold. They are not engineered products. They are commodity products, the same way a dollar store phone charger is a commodity product. Fleet managers at Canadian logistics companies, people who run hundreds of vehicles and track tire performance obsessively because tires are a significant operational cost, have documented dramatically higher failure rates, irregular wear patterns, and cold weather traction deficits with these brands compared to mid-tier alternatives that cost $30 to $40 more per corner. $30 to $40 per corner. On a set of 4 tires, that is $120 to $160, separating you from a compound that was actually tested in cold weather conditions. Here is the private label scam that the big box stores will never put in their flyer. Several major retailers source tires from the same overseas factories under their own branded labels. I will let you guess which retailers, and if you have spent any time in a Canadian Tire auto center, you are probably already nodding. The tire that ships as a Westlake in one box ships as a different brand name in another box at a slightly different price point. Different logo, different marketing, different shelf position. Same factory, same compound formula, same performance limitations. I actually find this darkly funny, in the way that things are funny when they would be illegal in a sane world. You can walk into a Canadian retail store, look at 3 different tire brands at 3 different prices, believe you are making a considered choice between competing products, and be looking at the same tire 3 times. It is not fraud in the legal sense. It is fraud in the regular sense. Now for the brand conversation that makes people angry. Hankook and Nexen occupy a middle tier that Canadian consumers have adopted heavily over the past decade because they offer recognizable Korean manufacturing pedigree at a price point well below the premium European and Japanese brands. And to their credit, their mid and upper tier products, the Hankook Ventus and the Nexen Roadian, are legitimate tires with legitimate compound engineering. I am not condemning the entire lineup, but their entry-level products, the ones that end up on economy cars at dealerships and on the shelves at budget tire chains, use simplified compound formulas that underperform in cold weather by a measurable margin. The brand name is doing work that the compound cannot support. You are buying the reputation of the upper tier and receiving the engineering of the lower tier. And unless you know the specific model number and have looked up its cold weather test data, you will not know the difference until February. The rating system nobody told you about. Every tire sold in North America carries a UTQG rating, Uniform Tire Quality Grading. 3 numbers and letters are stamped on the sidewall, right next to the size designation. Almost nobody knows what they mean. The tire industry is fine with that. Here is what they mean. Tread wear is a number. A baseline tire scores 100. A tire rated 300 should last 3 times as long as baseline. A tire rated 500 should last 5 times as long. Sounds useful. Here is the catch. Manufacturers run their own tread wear tests on their own test tracks under their own conditions and self-report the results. There is no independent verification. There is no standardized Canadian road condition requirement. A tire manufacturer can rate their tire 400 on a controlled test circuit in Arizona in July. And that number means nothing about how that tire wears on salted Canadian roads in a climate that destroys rubber chemistry. Traction is rated A, B, or C. It measures straight-line wet braking on a government test surface. AA is the highest. Most budget tires are rated A. A means the tire can stop adequately on wet asphalt in controlled test conditions. A does not mean the tire can stop on black ice in -15. The traction rating does not test ice. It does not test snow. It does not test cold weather compound behavior at all. A tire can carry an A traction rating and be genuinely dangerous on a Canadian January morning. Both of those things are simultaneously true and legal. Temperature is rated A, B, or C. It measures heat resistance at high speed, mostly relevant for sustained highway driving in hot climates. Of the 3 UTQG ratings, temperature is the least relevant to the average Canadian driver and arguably the most prominently understood because it sounds the most serious. We have been miseducated about which numbers matter. Now here is the gap that should embarrass Transport Canada. The European Union's tire labeling regulation, the EU Regulation 461 of 2010, if you want to look it up, requires manufacturers to rate and display cold weather performance metrics, rolling resistance, and wet grip on a standardized label visible to consumers at point of purchase. You walk into a tire shop in Germany and there is a standardized label, like a nutrition label, that tells you how the tire performs in the conditions that matter. In Canada, there is no equivalent requirement. You get the UTQG rating, which does not measure cold weather performance, and whatever the retailer decides to put on the shelf card. The consumer is operating blind in one of the coldest automotive markets in the world, the all-season lie. This is the one that makes me the most angry. I went back and forth about how strongly to say this, and then I remembered the woman outside of Barrie, and I decided to say it as strongly as it deserves. All-season tires are the most dangerous product in the Canadian automotive market, not because they are bad tires, because they are sold as a solution to a problem they cannot solve, to a market that genuinely believes them. Here is what all-season legally means. The designation indicates that the tire was designed to perform across 3 broad temperature bands: hot summer pavement, moderate wet conditions, and light snow. Light snow, the kind of snow that accumulates in Charlotte, North Carolina. The kind of snow that Canadian drivers would describe as a dusting. A reason to maybe slow down a little. Definitely not a reason to stay home. The Three-Peak Mountain snowflake symbol, the 3 peaks with a snowflake inside that appears on the sidewall of tires, marketed as all-weather or winter-rated, is a meaningful certification. To earn that symbol, a tire must demonstrate at least 10% better snow traction performance than a reference all-season tire in a standardized test. That is a real standard. It means something. But, and this is critical, it is measured in snow traction, not ice traction. The snowflake symbol does not certify cold weather compound performance below -15 degrees Celsius. It does not certify black ice grip. It certifies better than average snow traction in a controlled test. Most all-season tires do not carry the snowflake symbol. They carry a mud and snow designation, the M+S marking, which requires no standardized test at all. A manufacturer can self-apply the M+S designation to any tire they choose to describe as performing in mud and snow. It is a marketing category with zero independent verification. Now, the stopping distance data. I believe in showing you the numbers. At -15 degrees Celsius, a dedicated winter tire from a major premium brand, such as Michelin X-Ice, Bridgestone Blizzak, and Continental Winter Contact, typically stops a mid-size sedan from 100 kilometers per hour in roughly 40 to 45 meters on packed snow. The same vehicle on a premium all-season tire from the same manufacturer stops in approximately 60 to 65 meters. That is a 20-meter difference, 2 car lengths, at highway speed. On a budget all-season tire with a lower silica compound that is hardened in the cold, the stopping distance can extend to 80 meters or beyond, depending on the specific compound and temperature. 80 meters from 100 kilometers per hour. That is not a tire, that is a suggestion. Quebec figured this out. In 2008, Quebec became the first jurisdiction in North America to mandate winter tires from December 15th through March 15th. The data since then is unambiguous. Winter-related accident rates dropped by a documented 36% in the years following the mandate. 36% just from changing the tires. The rest of Canada looked at that data and did nothing. Still optional, still your problem. Still the same all-season flyers in October telling you you are prepared. This is the dealer and installer racket. Let's talk about the point of sale, because this is where the system completes itself. You bought your car. Maybe it came with a set of tires you did not choose, and that is its own problem. Manufacturers spec original equipment tires at a discount from the premium compound tier to hit the vehicle's price point. That means the tires your car shipped with are very likely not the best tires that will mount on your car. They are the cheapest tires the manufacturer could source at volume that still met minimum original equipment certification standards. But that is a separate video. You walk into a national tire chain or a dealership service center. You are quoted a price on a set of 4 winter tires. The price sounds reasonable. The brand name sounds familiar. The counterperson is friendly and specific about why this particular tire is the right choice for your vehicle. Be alert to friendliness as a sales tactic. Here is what is actually happening. Tire chains negotiate volume purchasing agreements with manufacturers. The tires that go on the featured shelf, the ones that get the promotional pricing, the ones that appear in the October flyer, are the tires that carry the highest margin for the retailer, not the highest performance for the driver. A premium Michelin or Bridgestone carries a modest margin because it is a known product with publicly available pricing. The retailer cannot charge dramatically over market. A house brand or a mid-tier brand with lower name recognition can be marked up significantly above cost because the customer has no reference point. Watch the margin. The counterperson is not recommending the tire that stops best in -15 degrees Celsius. They are recommending the tire that the store makes the most money selling. Those are sometimes the same tire. Often, they are not. Follow the money. Then there is the storage scam. Many Canadian tire chains offer seasonal tire storage. They hold your winter tires during summer months for a fee, sometimes $50 to $80 per season. The tire storage facility is frequently uncontrolled for temperature and ultraviolet light, conditions that degrade rubber compounds over time. You are paying to have your tires degraded in their warehouse. I cannot prove this makes them rich. I can prove it makes them money and makes your tires worse. You are welcome to do the math. Degraded is not what you paid for. The upsell that is not an upsell. Road hazard. Protection packages, tire disposal fees, valve stem fees, balancing add-ons. A set of tires advertised at $120 per corner frequently lands on your credit card at $150 to $160 per corner once the service sheet is assembled. The tire is the price of admission. The accessories are the margin. Remember, accessories are how they make real profit. Ask for an itemized quote before you agree to anything. Every fee, every service, every add-on in writing before the tires come off the car. The number of people who do this and the number of people who are surprised by their final bill are almost perfectly inversely correlated. What to actually buy. The ranked list. All right, you have sat through the indictment. Here is the verdict in the other direction. Number 3, Hankook Winter I-Sept-IZ2 and Nexen Wingard Sport 2W. Both of these mid-tier winter tires are a different story from the entry-level options. They carry the 3-Peak Mountain Snowflake certification, use legitimate cold-weather silica compounds, and deliver real-world ice and snow performance that is meaningfully better than any all-season product at any price point. They retail at roughly $110 to $140 per corner for a standard passenger vehicle size. They are a genuine performance upgrade over budget alternatives, at a price accessible to most Canadian households. If you are coming off all seasons and budget is a constraint, these are the minimum I would put on a car that drives in a Canadian winter. Not because they are exceptional, because they are honest. They do what they say they do. Number 2, Bridgestone Blizzak DM V3 and Continental Winter Contact SY. These are the tires that fleet safety managers and insurance actuaries quietly prefer. Bridgestone's Blizzak line has been a winter traction benchmark product for 2 decades. The compound technology, Bridgestone calls their cold weather formula multi-cell compound, uses a fine network of micropores in the contact patch to absorb the thin water film that forms on ice, increasing direct rubber to ice contact. The physics of this actually work. The testing data backs it up consistently. The Continental Winter Contact SYI uses what Continental calls black chili compound, a proprietary silica formulation that maintains flexibility at temperatures down to -30 degrees Celsius. It is the tire I would put on a vehicle driven primarily in the prairies or northern Ontario, where -30 degrees Celsius is not a hypothetical. Both of these tires retail at $150 to $190 per corner. They carry tread life warranties of approximately 40 to 50,000 kilometers under normal seasonal use. Over 8 years of seasonal use, 4 months per year as a realistic Canadian winter tire rotation, the cost per kilometer is actually lower than replacing budget tires every 4 to 5 years. The math always favors the honest product. It just requires looking past the sticker price. Number 1, Michelin X Ice She 3 and the Michelin X Ice Snow. This is the tire that changed the conversation about what winter traction could look like, and it has held that position for 15 years because Michelin keeps engineering it forward rather than coasting on the brand name. The X Ice Snow uses Michelin's EverGrip technology, a compound that actually improves wet traction as the tire wears, because the compound formulation reveals additional silica-rich material as the surface tread depletes. Most tires get worse as they wear. The X Ice Snow is engineered to maintain performance. That is not a marketing claim. It is the result of compound layering that costs more to manufacture and justifies a price point of $170 to $210 per corner. Here is the 10-year math. A set of 4 budget all-season tires at $100 per corner costs $400. They typically last 4 to 5 years in Canadian conditions before compound degradation, and tread depth put them below the safety threshold. 2 sets over 10 years is $800. A set of 4 Michelin X Ice Snow at $190 per corner costs $760. They last 8 to 10 years of seasonal winter use with proper rotation and storage. The long-term cost and the safety math favor the right product, not the cheapest sticker price. 1 set over 10 years costs $760, and for $40 less, you had tires that were actually engineered for the road you were driving on. Spending more per corner is not a luxury decision, it is arithmetic. The one rule to remember: before you buy another tire, before you let another service advisor steer you toward whatever is on the featured shelf this month, I want you to walk out of this video with one sentence in your head. If a tire cannot tell you its cold weather performance compound rating, its 3-peak mountain snowflake certification status, and its production date code before you buy it, you are not buying a tire. You are buying faith in a system that was not designed with your safety in mind. Check the production date, 4 digits, DOT code, sidewall. The first 2 digits are the week of manufacture. The last 2 are the year. A tire stamped 4221 was manufactured in the 42nd week of 2021. Anything beyond 6 years from that stamp is compromised rubber, regardless of tread depth. Check the snowflake, not the M+S. The snowflake. The 3-peak mountain snowflake symbol on the sidewall means the tire passed a standardized cold weather traction test. M+S means a marketing department made a decision. These are not the same thing. Check the compound, ask the retailer directly, what is the temperature range this compound is rated to perform in? A retailer selling a legitimate winter product can answer that question. A retailer selling a commodity product will change the subject, gesture at the tread wear rating, or tell you it is great for Canadian winters because it has aggressive tread blocks. Aggressive tread blocks on a hard compound at -15 degrees Celsius are aggressive tread blocks sliding across ice. The compound is the tire. Everything else is packaging. One last thing. If the tires came with the car, if they were specified by the manufacturer as original equipment, look up the OEM tire designation and compare it to what the same manufacturer sells in their retail consumer line. In almost every case, the OEM version is a lower compound tier than the retail version. The car manufacturer negotiated a price, and that price required a compound compromise. You are allowed to replace the OEM tires with a better version of the same tire the moment the originals wear out. Most people do not know this is an option. It is always an option. Here is the bottom line, and I want to say it plainly. The Canadian tire market is selling a temperate climate product to a subarctic climate consumer and calling it a complete solution. The rating system does not measure the conditions that kill Canadian drivers. The retail chain is structured to maximize margin, not safety. The all-season designation is a legal category that has no business existing in a country where the same road goes from +30 degrees Celsius to -30 degrees Celsius in 4 months. The woman outside of Barrie was not failed by bad luck. She was failed by a supply chain that made a series of economically rational decisions, lower compound cost, higher retailer margin, technically compliant labeling. None of those decisions had anything to do with whether her car would stop on a February morning. That is not an accident. It is the business model. The tire industry is counting on Canadians to be polite about it, to buy what is on sale, to trust the flyer, to not ask what DOT code means, or why the snowflake symbol is different from the M+S stamp, or why Quebec's accident rate dropped 36% after a mandate that the rest of the country still has not adopted. Do not be polite about it. Be informed about it. Check the compound. Check the snowflake. Check the date code. And if the person behind the counter cannot answer those 3 questions clearly and specifically, walk out. There is a shop nearby that can. If this video saved you from making an expensive, or worse, a dangerous mistake, subscribe to Broken Canada right now, because next week we are going into the electrical panels behind the walls of Canadian homes. There is a breaker brand installed in an estimated 1.2 million Canadian homes that has been linked to fires, that insurers are quietly flagging, and that is still sitting in walls from Victoria to Halifax right now. The manufacturer knew, the inspectors were not told, and the homeowners are still sleeping next to it. I will name the brand, I will show you the documents, I will tell you exactly what to look for in your own panel. That is next week. Subscribe so you do not miss it. And if someone you know just bought tires, send them this video. It is the least Canadian thing I could ask you to do, which is exactly why it needs to be done.